For as long as humans have existed, the moon has been our companion in the night sky. Poets wrote about it, lovers gazed at it, and entire civilizations built myths around its light. To some, it was the home of gods. To others, a symbol of mystery and power. But for all of history, the moon was untouchable, close enough to see, yet impossibly far away. Still, a question lingered. Could we ever set foot on it? By the mid-20th century, that question no longer seemed like fantasy. Science and technology were moving faster than ever. Rockets, once tools of war, were being reshaped into tools of exploration. And when Yuri Gagarin became the first human in space in 1961, a new horizon suddenly appeared. If humans could orbit the Earth, maybe, just maybe, they could reach the moon. The challenge came not only from science, but from politics. The Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union had turned space into a battlefield of pride and progress. The Soviets had the early lead with Sputnik and Gagarin's historic flight. But in 1961, U.S. President John F. Kennedy declared a bold, almost impossible goal. We choose to go to the moon, not because it is easy, but because it is hard. The race to the moon had begun. NASA launched the Apollo program, a massive effort involving more than 400,000 engineers, scientists, and workers. The task was staggering. Rockets had to be built powerful enough to break free from Earth's gravity. Spacecraft had to sustain human life for days in deep space. And landing safely on the moon, then returning to Earth, demanded precision like never before. Every test carried risk. Rockets exploded, prototypes failed, and lives were lost. In 1967, tragedy struck. During a test on the launch pad, a fire erupted inside Apollo 1, killing 3 astronauts, Gus Grissom, Ed White, and Roger Chaffee. It was a devastating reminder that space exploration was unforgiving. But rather than ending the program, it strengthened NASA's resolve. Systems were redesigned, safety was improved, and the mission pressed forward. By 1968, Apollo 8 became the first spacecraft to orbit the moon. Astronauts looked back and saw Earth rising over the lunar surface, a fragile blue marble hanging in the void. That image alone changed how humanity thought about its place in the universe. But the final goal was still ahead, landing a human on the moon itself. On July 16, 1969, Apollo 11 launched from Kennedy Space Center. A massive Saturn V rocket, taller than a 30-story building, thundered into the sky. Inside were 3 astronauts, Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins. Their mission, to travel over 200,000 miles and attempt humanity's first lunar landing. 4 days later, on July 20th, Armstrong and Aldrin entered the lunar module, Eagle, while Collins remained in orbit. As the craft descended, alarms sounded and fuel ran dangerously low. For a moment it seemed the mission might fail, but Armstrong took manual control, carefully guiding the Eagle over boulders and craters, searching desperately for a safe spot. With just seconds of fuel remaining, the module touched down. Armstrong's calm voice echoed to Earth. "Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed, the world erupted. But the greatest moment was still to come." Hours later, Neil Armstrong climbed down the ladder, his boot pressing into lunar dust. With millions watching live on Earth, he spoke the words that would define an era. "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." For the first time in history, humans walked on another world. Buzz Aldrin soon joined Armstrong, and together they planted the American flag, conducted experiments, and collected samples. They described the moon as a place of magnificent desolation. Above them, Earth hung in the sky, small, distant, and fragile. After 21 hours on the lunar surface, they returned to orbit, rejoining Collins, and then began their journey home. On July 24th, Apollo 11 splashed down safely in the Pacific Ocean. The mission was complete. Humanity had touched the moon and returned. The moon landing was not just an American victory, it was a human victory. It showed what could be achieved when imagination, determination, and courage come together. It was proof that no dream is too distant, no goal too high. Since then, more astronauts have followed in their footsteps, and new generations dream of returning. This time, not just to visit, but to stay. The moon, once unreachable, is now the stepping stone to the stars. And that is the story of how humanity first went to the moon. A journey fueled by rivalry, built on sacrifice, and carried out by brave men who risked everything to make history. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like and subscribe to Historia Hub 360, where history comes alive and the past lights the path to our future.